Hey everybody, Greg here, and this is a short video about computer security and malicious ads that can show up on websites, even legitimate websites. You may recall, I'll show you the article here, there was a story back in 2016, March, about how the New York Times, the BBC, and other websites were inadvertently serving up dangerous ads. And so you can see the address there at the top. It was basically CNET. And you can search for that. I'll just scroll down a little bit. But basically, these ads contain malicious software that go into the ad networks, and then that comes up, and it could be ransomware targeting Macs or what have you. So what I want to show you is, as of just a few days ago, this phenomenon happening once again. Now I'm going to bring this up and just kind of narrate, and I'll let you see what I'm seeing here. So usually these things happen in an instant, and a person doesn't have enough time to kind of figure out what was happening. I'll ask people when they contact me, what were you doing just before this thing popped up? And often they don't remember like what website they were on. They'll say, well, I was clicking around and then all of a sudden this came up. So to actually see it in action is an unusual thing. So I saw this happening the other day, did a screen recording, and really kind of narrowed down the specifics of what was going on, and I think you'll find this interesting. So I'm going to play back a video of what I saw, and I've edited this to show you some specifics. Okay, so at the top of the screen, what I want to bring your attention to is the Crate and Barrel ad that was up there. You might have seen a couch and Crate and Barrel. And so basically it's that ad that's causing this fake Flash Player update to show. Now at the top of this page was an ad for a wallet. Here's that Crate and Barrel ad. I'm going to scroll down the page a little further, and the code in that Crate and Barrel ad is again going to send me to a malicious site. This one the wording's a little different. Recommended Media Player Update instead of saying Flash Update. Sometimes these hackers try to provide variations in what shows up. Now, the ugly toe at the top of the page, this is something I'm going to go into a little more detail, but you really have to ask yourself, do you want your brand to be aligned with or associated with, you know, toenail fungus ads and that kind of thing? Here I'm showing you an example of we're viewing the page without ads in the reader view in Safari on an Apple computer. But by the time we scroll halfway down the page, that ad coding is in there, it's just not visible. So we're sent once again to this Flash Player Update page. A lot of people would see that and they would think, oh, I guess I need to update my Flash Player. They would click on download, follow the steps, and that's where they would get pulled into this scam. So anyway, as you can see, that's happening over and over. And to maybe clarify or answer a question that people might have, there's that ad again. I subsequently went back to this page after that ad was no longer being served up, and the page is fine, the particular page on the New York Times website. So it was just kind of a singular instance of that happening. Okay, so that would be the part one of this video. Relatively short commentary, basically showing you what can happen for people that are wondering like, oh, you know I got that message, how did it happen? That's how it happens. There are some ad block programs you can get, and those presumably would prevent the ads from showing and maybe prevent those scripts from running. I know of one person who was having a problem with their malware or virus software kept alerting them every time they would go to a certain website, and it would say we're blocking these different malicious scripts from running. And so I had that person use AdBlock Plus or some equivalent to that, and then those alerts went away. So the ad blocking software was able to block those ads and protect that person's computer. But you saw in this case, when I was running the reader view, it didn't block the ads. So here's let's go on to part 2 of the video, and that has to do with, as web developers, as companies, journalists, magazines, whatever you do and you're on the web and you're creating websites, you have a decision to make about advertising. And, some sites have so many ads that it's hard to really even get to the content. And if there's some problems with those ads showing up, either the size is wrong or just for some reason they're not showing up properly, they can hang up your web page, they can cause pages to load slowly, as was demonstrated today. They can infect your website visitors. Their computers can get infected. It can cost a lot of money. It can cost a lot of downtime. So it can harm people. And as you saw here, the New York Times is supposed to be a reputable paper with, some sort of standard, some sort of brand quality that you would expect when you visit the site. So to suddenly see, a really big ad at the top of the page with somebody's bunions or some toenail fungus or these weird sort of very low grade, low quality, poor ads, including some ads that can be a violation of the Federal Trade Commission guidelines for advertising with regard to truth in advertising. So you might see an ad that pops up and says, "Oh, your computer's running slowly, click here to fix it." So all kinds of ads that suck people into losing money, losing time, maybe having a problem with identity theft or ransomware, all kinds of problems. Why is that advertising there? Is that in some way benefiting the reader? No, it's not. It's not. And the only reason the advertising is there is because somebody, usually just some individual, is in charge of advertising and revenue, and they're trying to make some more money. And at that point, at that sort of like fork in the road, where you have to make a decision, oh, do I make money and harm people and cost untold amounts of money and loss and all kinds of headaches and stress and problems, but to make a few more dollars? Or do I take concern for others and forego some small amount of advertising revenue? Here's my company's brand that's been built up over 100 years. Do I completely trash the brand so that people don't trust it, that they in fact fear going to the website, that they look at toenails when they come to the website? Do I do that just to earn a little bit of extra money? Or do I take a step back, reconsider, and think, oh, what would be in the best interest of the brand? What would be in the best interest of the company? What would be in the best interest of the reader? Rather than just thinking about selfish interest and how much money can be made off of advertising revenue. There is a better way. There can be pre-qualified, pre-screened ads that are attractive, well-designed, that are relevant. I mean, we're reading a political article on the New York Times that has nothing to do with bunions, other than, well, I won't go into that. Possibly the demographic of people who might be reading that might have bunions. Okay, that was going to be the joke. But no, that, really these ads, most of them you saw, Crate and Barrel ad for a couch and these other things, have nothing to do with the content of the article that's being read, despite the fact that Google Ads promises, oh, these are AdSense ads that are going to be relevant to your reader. They're not. And you can see also they repeat over and over. So, I mean, if you've seen something once, twice, 3 times, I'm going to do a totally different video about that topic. But so they're not effective. But if you partner with known advertisers, okay, who you design the ads or they design the ads, but these are pre-approved and they're vetted, so the ads aren't going to hijack your website visitor's computer, and maybe even place ads that are relevant. That's what was done in the days of magazines, right? You'd have an article about fishing, and then across on the opposite page you would get a lot of money for a full page ad that has something to do about some fishing vacation spot, you know. So the content of the magazine and the ads were paired together. Today, we're dealing with ads that have nothing to do with what the reader is looking at in most cases. So anyway, that's part 2 of the video, is to say, you know, anyone who is watching this, I would hope that people can reconsider and pursue some other way of advertising, and if extra revenue is needed, to do it in a more ethical way, in a more effective way, in a way that benefits everybody, rather than the approach that's currently being used. And then again, for people out there that are just wanting to, you know, get on their computer and read some news, just know that there are going to be sometimes websites that are serving up these ads, and it may be out of their control. You know, they've just signed a contract with Google, and whatever ads show up, you know, and there's nobody policing it. So, and that's another point, like, who is at fault? If there is a malicious ad that shows up, or if there's an ad that's illegal because it violates the Federal Trade Commission guidelines about truth in advertising, who is responsible for that? Well, I'm sure the New York Times will say, oh, we're not responsible. We're letting Google advertise on our site. And Google is going to say, well, we're not responsible. We just provide the ads, but somebody else creates them. And, you know, it's this inevitable fingers pointing at other people exercise. So anyway, established institutions like the New York Times need to take the initiative, need to take this on and stop harming people and putting, you know, profits above people, but instead putting principles above profits. And they have a team and they have the financing to do this. So, you know, look for a better way to provide advertising that is more efficient. So anyway, I've gone on long enough about that. Thank you for watching, and thanks for the shares and the likes and the subscribes and the comments. And I look forward to sharing more with you soon. Take care.